कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन व्रज जन रंजना यशोदनंदन व्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन व्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद इस डिवाइन ग्रेस विश्वगुरु ऐसी भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद इस डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्भागवतम की जय। श्री श्री कृष्णा रुक्मिणी सत्यभामा की जय। श्री श्री गौरनिताय की जय। विश्वगुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 26, verse number 32. Tamasat cha vikurvanat, tamasat cha vikurvanat, tamasat cha vikurvanat, bhagavad virya choditat, bhagavad virya choditat. Shri Krishna Rukmini Satyabhama ki. Bhagavad Virya Choditat Shabda Matram Abhut Tasmat Shabda Matram Abhut Tasman Shabda Matram Abhut Tasman Nabhaha Shrotram Tu Shabdagam Nabhashotram tu shabdagam. Nabhashotram tu shabdagam. Tamasa cha vikurvanat. Bhagavad virya choditat. Shabdamatram abhutasman. Nabhashotram tu shabdagam. Tamasa cha vikurvanat. Bhagavad virya choditat. Shabdamatram abhutasman. Nabhashrotram tu shabdagam.
Nabaha srotram tu shabdagam.
Tamasacha vikurvanan Bhagavat virya choditan Shabdamatram abhutasman Nabhakshotram tu shabdagam.
Tamasacha vikurvanan Bhagavad virya choditat Sabdamatam abhutasman Nabhasrotat tu sabdagam.
Tamasat, from egoism and ignorance. Cha, and vikurvanat, undergoing transformation. Bhagavat virya, by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Choditat, impelled. Shabda matram, the subtle element sound. Abhut, was manifested. Tasmat, from that. Nabhaha, ether. Shrotram, the sense of hearing. To, then. Shabdagam, which catches sound. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. When egoism in ignorance is agitated by the sex energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the subtle element sound is manifested, and from sound come the ethereal sky and the sense of hearing. Kindly repeat. When egoism in ignorance is agitated by the sex energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the subtle element, sound, is manifested, and from sound come the ethereal sky and the sense of hearing. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It appears from this verse that all the objects of our sense gratification are the products of egoism in ignorance. It is understood from this verse that by agitation of the element of egoism in ignorance, the first thing produced was sound, which is the subtle form of ether. It is stated also in the Vedanta Sutra that sound is the origin of all objects of material possession, and that by sound one can also dissolve this material existence. Anavritihi Shabdat means liberation by sound. The entire material manifestation began from sound, and sound can also end material entanglement if it has a particular potency. The particular sound capable of doing this is the transcendental vibration, Hare Krishna. Our entanglement in material affairs has begun from material sound. Now, we must purify that sound in spiritual understanding. There is sound in the spiritual world also. If we approach that sound, then our spiritual life begins, and the other requirements for spiritual advancement can be supplied. We have to understand very clearly that sound is the beginning of the creation of all material objects for our sense gratification. Similarly, if sound is purified, our spiritual necessities are also produced from sound. Here it is said that from sound the ether became manifested, and that the air became manifested from ether. How the ethereal sky comes from sound, how the air comes from sky, and how fire comes from air will be explained later on. Sound is the cause of the sky, and sky is the cause of Shrotram, the ear. The ear is the first sense for receiving knowledge. One must give oral reception to any knowledge one wants to receive, either material or spiritual. Therefore, Shrotram is very important. The Vedic knowledge is called Shruti. Knowledge has to be received by hearing. By hearing only can we have access to either material or spiritual enjoyment. In the material world, we manufacture many things for our material comfort simply by hearing. They are already there, but just by hearing, one can transform them. If we want to build a very high skyscraper, this does not mean that we have to create it. The materials for the skyscraper, wood, metal, earth, etc., are already there. But we make our intimate relationship with those already created material elements by hearing how to utilize them. Modern economic advancement for creation is also a product of hearing. And similarly, one can create a favorable field of spiritual activities by hearing from the right source. Arjuna was a gross materialist in the bodily conception of life and was suffering from the bodily concept very acutely. But simply by hearing, Arjuna became a spiritualized, Krishna-conscious person. Hearing is very important, and that hearing is produced from the sky. By hearing only can we make proper use of that which already exists. The principle of hearing to properly utilize preconceived materials is applicable to spiritual paraphernalia as well. We must hear from the proper spiritual source. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham mande Shri Gurum Deenataranam. 5,000 years ago, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, descended on the earth, at that time, the world was being ruled over by the Kauravas from Hastinapura. And after Pandu's demise, Pandu was ruling over the kingdom, the entire earth. He was actually the younger brother. Dhritarashtra was elder. But because Dhritarashtra was blind, he was incapable of leading the kingdom. So Pandu ascended to the throne. And after Pandu's demise, his eldest son, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj, was the rightful heir to the throne. So when the Pandavas came of age, the Pandavas approached Dhritarashtra, because when Pandu passed away, his children, the Pandavas, were still very young. They were still children. So Dhritarashtra was made a caretaker king till the Pandavas grew up. So when the Pandavas grew up, they approached Dhritarashtra and said that now we are grown up, we need a kingdom to rule, please instruct us in this regard. Very humbly, very submissive way they approached Dhritarashtra. And Dhritarashtra should have abdicated his caretaker throne and he should have handed it over to Yudhiṣṭhira. But he did not do that. He was very attached to position. So he said, okay, I will give you Khandavaprastha, you become the king there. And Khandavaprastha at that time was a simple forest. There was nothing there. Present day Delhi. The Pandavas, however, did not object. They went there and with Krishna, their friend and cousin brother, they managed to establish a flourishing city called Indraprastha. When Duryodhana saw Indraprastha and how the opulence of Indraprastha exceeded that of Hastinapura, he became very envious. He said, no, I want Hastinapura also, I want Indraprastha also. And that is how he thought. But even though Duryodhana had 100 brothers, still, and the Pandavas were only 5, still the Pandavas were far more formidable and powerful than Duryodhana and his brothers. So a direct confrontation was out of the contention. It was not possible. If there was a direct fight, Duryodhana knew the Pandavas would win. So he resorted to a surreptitious method. He challenged Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj to a game of dice with his uncle Shakuni. And they cheated the Pandavas of the kingdom. And Duryodhana got Indraprastha also. For a brief period of time, 14 years, the Pandavas had go to forest exile and incognito. They had to live for 1 year. And all the conditions, if they could fulfill, they would get their kingdom back. And finally, when the Pandavas fulfilled all the conditions and came back and told Duryodhana, now please return our kingdom, Duryodhana said, no. You people were in exile, and during that battle in the kingdom of Virata, Arjuna came to be exposed. And that Muhurta, when you got exposed, according to Shakuni's calculation, that 1 year of incognito exile you were to live in, that was not over. So you got exposed, you had to go back 14 years. And the Pandavas said, no, as per proper calculation, Arjuna, who was acting as Brihannala, he came out into the open and exposed himself as Arjuna only after the time of 1 year was over. But Duryodhana would not agree. So, but then, instead of fighting, the Pandavas thought, let us first try to achieve peace. And they sent Krishna as their messenger. Shanti Duta. Krishna came as the messenger of peace with a peace proposal. And Krishna said, no need of Indraprastha. You give 5 villages. And the Pandavas will be peaceful. They will not fight with you. Duryodhana said, Shuchyagra, even that much land where you can keep a pin, even the tip of the tin of a pin, Shuchi Agra, even that much land which is required for the tip of a needle, even that much land I will not give. So then there was only one option left, war. And so both the Pandavas and the Kauravas, they immediately started approaching different kings all over the world, enlisting their support for the war. And from all over the world, different kings came and gave support to one of the two parties. And eventually, a date was fixed, somewhere in December. And then, on the day of Ekadashi, the battle was supposed to start. And the place was chosen, Kurukṣetra. Kurukṣetra is close to Indraprastha as well as Hastinapura, in between somewhere. So, both the armies assembled. On the side of Kauravas, almost about, how many Akshohinis were there? Anybody remembers? 11 Akshohinis were there on the side of the Kauravas. On the side of the Pandavas, 7. So, 1.5 times larger army the Kauravas had compared to the Pandavas. And they all assembled on the battlefield, now ready to, battle is about to start. And both the armies are arrayed on facing each other, opposite to one another. And then, just before the battle was about to commence, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj got down from his chariot and started walking towards the Kaurava army. And everybody said, what happened? Yudhiṣṭhira is going to accede, he is going to accept defeat and hand over and tell that and surrender to Duryodhana. What is he doing? Everybody was shocked. What is Yudhiṣṭhira doing? Yudhiṣṭhira very calmly walked up and he went to Bhīṣma Dev, offered his obeisances and said, I want your blessings. And Bhīṣma Dev said, my dear son, you have done the right thing by coming and asking for my blessings before starting the battle. Otherwise, I would have cursed you for not following the etiquette. So I bless you that you will be victorious. So then Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj asked him, but how will we be victorious over you? Please tell us how we can defeat you. So Bhīṣma Deva said, actually it is not possible to defeat me. But when when a person comes in front of me with whom I will not fight, then you will be able to gain victory over me. Something like that Bhīṣma told. Yudhiṣṭhira accepted and went to Dronacharya and he offered his obeisances. And he asked Dronacharya also for his blessing. Dronacharya also said, be victorious. And then he asked Dronacharya, how will we be victorious over you? And Dronacharya said, actually you cannot defeat me, but if I hear some news which is unpalatable to me and I give up my arms because of that, then you can defeat me. So like this, Yudhiṣṭhira went to Kripacharya also, took his blessings also, and then he came back. And then Duryodhana saw, oh, the Pandavas have got a very big army. I did not expect. I thought 14 years they were in forest and exiled and they were incognito for 1 year. Who will support them? Okay, their father-in-law Drupada may support, but who else will support them? That's what I was thinking. But look at this, 6 Akshohinis, 7 Akshohinis, they managed to assemble. Not small. So he went to Dronacharya and said, because Dronacharya was his commander-in-chief. So he said, look at their army, not small, huh? To be careful. We have to be very careful and we have to fight with them properly. We cannot take them for granted. So then Arjuna told Krishna, Achyuta, please take the chariot between the two armies. I want to see who are the people with whom we have to fight. Who are the people who are supporting that evil-minded Duryodhana? I mean, after all, who will support him? I am surprised. So many people have assembled to support him. I want to see who are those people. Take the chariot. Please take the chariot between the two armies. So Krishna said, all right. And he took the chariot between the two armies. And he told Arjuna, Arjuna, see, this is the army of the Kauravas. These are the people with whom you have to fight. And then Arjuna saw there, who are the people with whom he has to fight? His own guru, Dronacharya, his own grandfather, Bhīṣma, and Kripacharya, who is also like a guru for him. And after all, whatever the disagreements between them, Kauravas are their own brothers and their sons and his own uncles. It is all his own relatives. Shri Krishna Rukmini Satyabhama ki jai. So his own swajana, his own relatives, uncles, fathers-in-law, brothers, teachers, grandfathers, all these people. I have to fight with all these people. They are my own people, swajana. Swajanam ahave. In this battle, he told Krishna, how will I fight with my own people? Pujarha Varisudana, they are worthy of worship. Dronacharya, Bhīṣma Deva, Kripacharya, they are all worthy of my worship. How will I fight with them? Ishubihi pratiyotsyami. Kathamaham ishubihi pratiyotsyami. How will I shoot arrows at them? I am supposed to go and offer my obeisances to them. How will I shoot arrows at them? Oh Krishna, not possible. And then Krishna also gave argument. No, you are a Kshatriya. Kshatriya cannot talk like all this. You have to fight. You have come to the battle. You cannot turn your back. People will all criticize you. And for a person who has been honored, disrespect is worse than death. So everybody used to glorify you, great warrior, great warrior. Now if you walk away, everybody will say, covered. How will you be able to leave? No, you have to fight. Arjuna got confused. He said that dharma sammudaha. Oh Krishna, I am bewildered. What is my dharma? Should I fight or should I not fight? Which is dharma? I am confused. Fighting with my own teacher, my own relatives, my own grandfather, is that dharma? Or should I accept the path of non-violence? Is that dharma? Which is dharma? Dharma sammuda chetaha. I am confused. So please, you instruct me. And then Arjuna said, Krishna, I accept you as my guru. Shishyasteham. I am your disciple now. No more friendship. Shadhimam, you please instruct me. What is my dharma? So then Krishna started speaking. Okay, all right. Now I will instruct you. Then Krishna started speaking. You are not the body. You are spirit, soul. And all these swajana you are talking of relatives, they are all bodily relation. You have to perform your duty beyond your bodily relations. You have to come out of the bodily concept and do your duty. And you have to perform your duty without attachment to the result. And over and above that, you have to perform devotional service. You have to do your service. You have to do your duty for the satisfaction of Vishnu. In other words, for Krishna himself. Krishna told Arjuna, you have to perform your duty, not simply for the sake of doing duty, but for satisfying me. And Krishna not only spoke about this, Krishna also spoke about himself. What is his position? And from the 7th chapter onwards, Krishna started primarily talking about himself, how he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mattaha sarvam pravartate, everything is emanating from me. Aham sarvasya prabhavo, I am the source of everything. All devatas, all sages, all living entities, they are all coming from me. All the universes, they are being maintained by me. And like this, Krishna started describing his own position. And then Krishna said another amazing thing. Krishna said, Matstani sarvabhutani, all living entities, all creation is within me. Nachaham teshu, but at the same time I am not in them. Pashyame yogam aishwaryam. Look at my wonderful, splendorous power, that simultaneously this entire creation is within me, but I am not in that. So like this, Krishna explained many things. So then, in the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asked Krishna, that Krishna, now I have understood. I have understood that who you are. He said, you are Paramam, you are the Supreme. Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. All those, that famous verses Arjuna spoke, saying that you are Adidevam, Purusham, Adyam, Puranam, Adidevam, Ajam, Vibhum. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are the oldest personality. You are the source of everyone. You are the cause of all causes. I have understood all this, Krishna. Now I want to hear about your vibhutis, about your opulences. Can you please describe them in greater detail? Then Krishna said, yes, I will explain to you. And then Krishna started describing. Of all the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of all light, I am the sun. Of all stars, I am the moon. Like this, Krishna started describing his opulences. And then finally, Krishna said, but what is the big deal to know about all these things? Please understand that Vishtabhyaham idam Krishnam. This entire manifestation is maintained by a spark of my splendor, which is the Paramatma. So, Paramatma is just one amsha of mine, and with that I am manifesting so many opulences. So Krishna said this. Then came the 11th chapter, where Arjuna told Krishna that Krishna, I have understood what, your glories, your vibhutis, your position. So, because of that, Vigataha moho mama, mohoyam vigato mama. All my moha illusion is gone now. Now I am become enlightened. And then Arjuna said, but at the same time, I am seeing you, the Supreme Personality, in front of me. But still, I want to know how you have entered this cosmic manifestation. Because you said, you have entered the cosmic manifestation is in you, at the same time you are not in it. So I want to know your form in which you have entered the cosmic manifestation. I want to see that. If you feel I am capable, I am qualified to see that, can you please show me that universal form of yours? Then Krishna said, okay Arjuna, you want to see my universal form? All right. Please behold now all my opulences and my varied divine forms. And you can see here in my Viśvarūpa all the Rudras, all the Adityas, all the Devatas. And not only that, whatever you now desire to see, you can see in this universal form, as well as whatever you may desire in the future, all that also you can see in the universal form. But then to see this universal form, your present eyes are not sufficient. So I am granting you divine vision by which you can see the universal form. And then Arjuna could see that universal form of Krishna. And how was that universal form of Krishna which Arjuna saw? Arjuna saw unlimited mouths, unlimited heads, unlimited hands, unlimited legs. And all the forms that he was seeing, they were all wonderful, they were all so super excellent. And they were all wearing very wonderful garments. And they were wearing dazzling, precious ornaments. All the heads were decorated with crowns, jeweled crowns. And each form was wearing a beautiful, glorious garland. And not only that, Arjuna's vision, what he was seeing, was not just a vision like you see in a theater. In a theater, we go to watch a movie, right? And there you can see so many forms, so many things you can see. But that's just a 2D vision. That's just a screen on which you are seeing a representation of the actual reality, isn't it? But what Arjuna was seeing was not like that. He was actually seeing in 3D. He was actually seeing the form, because the Bhagavad Gita says, not only did he see all this, he also smelled that the universal form was spread over with many wonderful perfumes. And he could smell the fragrant scents which were decorating that universal form. So you see, it was not just sight alone. It was not just like seeing a movie. He was actually seeing the manifested form of the universal form. And then, within that universal form, Arjuna could see many, many universes. Not just one universe, many, many universes Arjuna was seeing. And then when Arjuna saw all this, he was bewildered and his hair was standing on end. And then he immediately, with great respect, he offered obeisances to the universal form and started praying to the Lord in his universal form. And he said, Krishna, I see all the devatas assembled in your universal form. And I can see in your universal form, Brahma is sitting on a lotus flower. And next to him I can see Lord Shiva also. And all the other different kinds of devatas, all of them I am seeing. And I am seeing in your form many, many mouths, many, many eyes, many, many bellies. And your form, I am not able to see a beginning, an end, or a middle. I am not able to figure out where is the middle, where is the beginning, where is the end. It is so unlimited, so vast. And he said, Arjuna said, when I am seeing your form, at the same time I am seeing all the devatas, they are surrendering unto you. They are offering you different kinds of prayers, and some of them are entering you also. And then the Adityas, Vasus, they are all standing and seeing your form with great reverence. All this I am able to see. Even Brahma and all the others, they are Gandharvas, they are all watching with great wonder at your universal form. And at the same time, I am able to see that you are having very fearful teeth. And I am seeing all the Kauravas, the Duryodhana and his brothers, and Karna and Bhīṣma, Droṇa, all these personalities, they are rushing into your mouth. And they are getting crushed between your teeth. And they are getting killed by being caught up between your teeth. What is this that I am seeing? I am greatly frightened by seeing all these things. And I am not able to maintain my equilibrium. I am getting bewildered. So I want to know, who are you? Who are you? I don't know who you are. Please tell me, who are you? And what is your desire? Where I am able to see that all these personalities are rushing into your mouth and getting smashed like the rivers flow towards the ocean. They are helplessly getting into your mouth and getting smashed between your teeth. Or like moths which are rushing into the blazing fire. Like that I am seeing Duryodhana, Kauravas, Karna, everybody rushing in and getting killed. So who are you? What is this form that I am seeing? Who are you? And what is your mission? I want to know. Please let me know. So immediately the universal form, Krishna in the universal form replied. He said, Kalosmi Loka Kshayakrit. Arjuna, I am time. Time who brings about destruction in the entire universe. So time is the force which destroys everything. Time is the force which brings about change. Time is the inexorable force which completely annihilates everything. This is the reality. With time, everybody has to die. Everybody has to, even civilizations, individuals, everybody gets finished with time. That's the force of time. Nobody can withstand the force of time. Because Kala or time is the impersonal manifestation of Krishna. So the universal form said, I am Kala who brings about destruction of the entire universe. So he explained who he was. And what was his mission? The universal form, Krishna in the universal form said, I have come here to engage all these armies. And with the exception of you Pandavas, all the soldiers on both sides will be over. They are finished. I have decided to kill all of them. And then he made that famous statement. Nimittamatra bhava savyasachin. Savyasachi, Arjuna, already all the Kauravas are going to die. Even the soldiers on your side are also going to die. So you just fight, you become an instrument and simply fight and become victorious and rule the kingdom. I've already decided. So simply fight, don't worry. Result is already ordained. I've already decided that they are all going to die and the Kauravas are going to be defeated. Simply you fight and you will be victorious. So when Arjuna heard this, immediately Arjuna, his whole body was trembling. He was trembling in great fear, hearing such a thunderous voice and the kind of prediction that he had made, the vision he had seen. It was very frightening. Arjuna was shivering. And he immediately offered his obeisances again. And then he started offering his prayers again. Now he understood, oh, this is the Kala Rupa of Krishna. And his mission is that he is going to destroy the Kauravas. This is his mission. And he wants me to become an instrument. Then Arjuna offered his prayers, out of which the first thing that Arjuna said, Sthane Hrishikesha Tava Prakirtya. Sthane Hrishikesha Tava Prakirtya Jagat Prahrishyatya Anurajyate. Rakshamsi Bhītāni Disho Dravanti. Namasyanti cha Sarve Namasyanti cha Siddha Sanghaha. He said, O Lord, Hrishikesha, Krishna, O Hrishikesha, Sthane Hrishikesha, O Hrishikesha, whatever you have willed, whatever you are doing is all right. And this form of yours is such that Rakshamsi, all the demons, all the atheists, Dravanti, they are running away in great fear. They are fleeing in great fear. They are all struck with fear. They have been frightened to their core. Rakshamsi Bhītāni Disho Dravanti. They are fleeing in all directions. And Sarve Namasyanti cha Siddha Sanghaha. All the perfected beings, all the residents of Siddha Loka, they are offering their obeisances to you. So when whatever fearsome form the Supreme Lord exhibits, it is fearsome only for the atheists and for the demons. For the devotees, it is always very pleasing. And devotees immediately, their hearts become filled with great joy at seeing the form of the Lord, and they start offering their obeisances. So Arjuna said, your form is very fearsome for all the atheists. They are all running away in all directions. But these personalities, great sages, rishis and the siddhas, they are all offering obeisances to you in great joy. And then he said, Sthane Hrishikesha Tava Prakirtiya. By chanting your holy name, Hrishikesha, Jagat Prahrishyati. The entire universe becomes filled with joy. Jagat Prahrishyati Anurajyate. And not only that, by chanting your holy name, all the personalities are becoming attached to you. They are becoming attracted to you and attached to you. So you see, the effect of chanting the holy name of Krishna, that is described by Arjuna very wonderfully. He said, simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, what happens? Our hearts become filled with the joy and we become attached to Krishna. Actually, in the material world, everyone is suffering. Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita that Dukkhalayam, this material universe, is a place of misery. And in this place of misery, why is this place full of misery? Because, as it is stated in today's verse, Tamasacha vikurvanat bhagavad virya chodita shabdamatram abhut tasmat nabashrotram tu shabdagam. So, because of the false ego in ignorance, tamasat, what happens? Shabdamatram abhut, sound is manifested. And this sound is the cause of all our material activities. So, when the sound, because of material sound, when we engage in material activities, meaning whatever desires for sense gratification is there, whatever economic development we are doing, whatever advancement in science and technology we are doing, all that is coming from Shrotra, from sound. Some scientist discovered something and then he declared to the world, I have invented the aeroplane, I have invented the electric light, I have invented the telephone. All this people come to know how? By sound. By people explaining what they have discovered. And then we will see a lot of advertisements. Many corporations come, they will buy the patent and they will start producing. One company will start producing cars, another company, Boeing, will start producing aeroplanes, another company will come and start producing something else. So you see, and then when they produce, it's not enough to simply produce. They will not simply produce and keep it in the market. They will do a lot of advertisement. So every day when you open YouTube, you open any video, first you will get bombarded with 2-3 advertisements. Look at this, look at that. So when you hear that, you come to know some product like this is there, which can give me some sense gratification like this. So you are hearing and then the idea is put into your mind. That ad is what is telling you there is some possibility like this to enjoy like this. That goes into your mind. And then you will think, oh, this is a good product to have. I'll be happy by possessing this. So all the material objects of sense gratification, all the endeavors to engage in sense gratification in the material world is arising out of material sound vibration. We hear from people telling us, when we are born, we are all born in ignorance. We have no idea about the world, about how the world functions, about science, technology. We have no idea. But then when we grow up, our parents teach us, our relatives teach us, then we go to school, the teachers there teach us, we go on hearing material sound vibration. Then we learn, oh, this is man, this is woman, and this is the world, this is India, this is America, this is apple, this is banana, this is aeroplane, this is gun, this is knife. All these things we learn by hearing. But all this sound by which we are getting knowledge, we are supposed to get knowledge by going to school, college, etc. And people say, if you go to school, you become educated, you become knowledgeable, isn't it? But all the knowledge you are getting in the material world by going to school, college, etc. is all coming from sound, and that sound is what? Tamasacha vikurvana. It is a transformation of the ego in ignorance. So all that so-called knowledge you are getting in the material world in schools and colleges is what? It is only ignorance. And therefore the Upanishad state, Tamasima Jyotirgama, do not be in ignorance. Meaning, don't be simply hearing material knowledge, which is all tamas. Instead, what should we do? Jyotirgama, you have to come to the light. You have to get enlightened. You have to come to realize you are not the body, you are spirit, soul. You have to come to realize you are the servant of Krishna eternally. You are an amsha of Krishna. How to do that? You have to hear. Hear what? Not hear again the tamasi, the tamas, the material sound vibration coming out of ignorance. No, by hearing that you will not be able to become attached to Krishna. You will not become detached from material sense gratificatory pursuits. All those ideas which have got implanted in your mind by hearing tamas, ignorance, that this is enjoyment, material sense gratification will give us enjoyment. If that has to go out of your system, you have to hear not the same tamas knowledge, not the same sound which is vibrated on the platform of ignorance. You have to hear transcendental sound. And what is the transcendental sound? The transcendental sound is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And if you chant and hear that transcendental sound of Hare Krishna, what happens? Like Arjuna said, Tava prakirtya, sthane hrishikesha tava prakirtya, jagat pragrishyat anurajyate. Our hearts will become blissful. We will no longer our hearts will no longer be filled with frustration, anger, and distress because of all the failures in achieving sense gratification by all the wonderful arrangements arising out of sound vibrated on the platform of ignorance. Because ultimately, whatever endeavor we do to enjoy sense gratification in the material world, arising out of sound vibration vibrated on the material platform of ignorance, it will all end in distress only. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that Adyantavantaha kaunteya nateshu ramate buddhaha. When ye his sansparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya yevate. All the happiness that we experience born out of the contact of the senses and sense objects will ultimately end in distress. Even if you say, no, in between I am able to experience some happiness, so why I should not indulge in sense gratification? Adyantavantaha, there is a beginning and an end to it. And so when it ends, it will give you greater distress than if you had never enjoyed that sense gratification. So Krishna says, give it up. So all the endeavors for sense gratification born out of the sound vibration coming on the material platform of ignorance will eventually end in distress. But when you hear the sound vibration of Hare Krishna, what happens? Your heart becomes prahrishyati, your heart becomes fully joyful, no more distress. And anurajyate, you will become attached to Krishna. You see, tamasi, sound which is vibrated on the platform of tamas, tamasa cha vikurvanat shabdamatram abhut. So when you hear sound which is coming, which is rising out of the false ego born of, the ego born of ignorance, what happens? You will become attached to material sense gratification. And if you hear about Krishna, you hear Krishna's holy name, and you hear about Krishna from the lips of a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, what happens? You will become detached from material sense gratification, you will get attached to Krishna. And getting attached to Krishna and heart becoming joyful means you are no more bound to the material world. You are already liberated. When we chant Hare Krishna and when we hear that, we are actually immediately on the spot liberated. Because we are in touch directly with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So therefore, we have to understand that sound, although it is vibrated, it is generated, sound in the material world is generated from ego born of ignorance. Still, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, like we are reading today, Tamasa cha vikurvana bhagavad vidya choditat shabdamatram abhutasma nabashtotram tu sabdagam. This is also appears like material sound vibration. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It appears like material sound, but no, it is not born of the ego of ignorance. And that is why the Acharyas have said that the Golokera Premadhana, Harinama Sankirtana, the Harinama Sankirtana is coming from the spiritual world. So it is coming from Goloka. It is not generated from ego born of ignorance within the material world. And so therefore, that transcendental sound, if we receive from the Guru Shishya Parampara, from a bona fide spiritual master in the Guru Parampara, like Srila Prabhupada, by taking Diksha from him, and when we take Diksha from Srila Prabhupada, what happens? We receive that holy name of Krishna from Goloka through the Parampara into our hearts. Then what happens? Then that holy name will fill our heart with bliss and generate attachment for Krishna. Which simultaneously means we develop detachment for the material world. And that will take us out of the binding of the material world altogether. We will get liberated. So Kapila Deva is explaining in what all ways the whole material energy has covered us. Until now, Kapila Deva had described about the subtle body, mind, intelligence, false ego. Now he started talking about the gross material world we see around us, beginning with sound, and how that sound goes on to transform into fire, and fire to water, and water to earth. All those things we will see in the upcoming verses. So now, the beginning of the gross material elements and the objects, the subtle objects of the senses, like sound. Sound is an object of the ear. That is the most subtle element, and that is the first thing to be produced. But that sound that is produced from ego born of ignorance, whereas the holy name of Krishna, as the Vedanta Sutra state, Shabdad Anavrittihi, the same Shabda which binds you to the material world by attaching you to sense gratification, that sound, when it is used to vibrate the holy name of Krishna, like Arjuna is telling, Sthane Hrishikesha Tava Prakirtya, by using that same sound vibration to vibrate the holy name of Krishna, what happens? Jagat Praharishyati Anurajyate. We will become, our hearts will become blissful. We will no longer be affected by the threefold miseries of the material world. Material energy cannot impose any distress upon us. And we will become attached to Krishna. That means our spiritual senses are awakening. And by this, we will be able to get out of this material world, and this very complicated material world, which is surrounded by all these elements which Kapila Deva is explaining, and we will be able to go to the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan, to revive our original forgotten relationship with Him. So these are some of the things we can understand from this. If there are any comments or questions, we can discuss. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, you have told that material knowledge is born out of ego of ignorance. But this technology and all is created because of that material knowledge only, no, Prabhu. But that is making Krishna consciousness reachable and accessible, no, Prabhu. So
yes.
How do we understand this?
So then when the same objects like this mic we are having, or we are having YouTube and we have a camera, all these things, when you are using that to transport not Tamasa cha vikurvana shabdamatramabhut, not the sound born of the ego of ignorance, ego born out of ignorance, but rather to transmit transcendental sound. Then those very objects which become the cause of our attachment to the material world will become the cause of our liberation. So the whole point is, even that knowledge which we hear, even the Hare Krishna Mahamantra which we hear from the lips of Srila Prabhupada, we hear with our material ears only. Now, when we use a mic and a speaker, etc., we are simply amplifying that sound, which is falling on our material ears only. You may watch it on YouTube, but still you are hearing with your material ears only, right? So, simply by hearing with our material ears, we are able to understand transcendental subject matter, and we are able to gain the benefit of becoming attached to Krishna and becoming free from the miserable material world. So, we have to understand that Krishna has given this loophole of being able to use that one material sense of the ear in hearing about Krishna from the lotus lips of a pure devotee. That is the one loophole Krishna has given by which we can get liberated and go back to Godhead. So otherwise, it is impossible to get out of this material world. So that is why Prahlad Maharaj also says, Naisha matis tavadurukramangrim mati na krishne paratasvato va mito vipadyeta grahavratanam adanta gobis tamasantamishram punascharvita charvananam. So he says, not by my own personal endeavor, not by a group of people getting together and discussing, by none of these endeavors you can develop attachment for Krishna. It is not possible. So, by our own endeavor, by using the science, technology, our material ears, it is not possible to grasp Krishna. None of our senses can grasp Krishna. But there is this one loophole which Krishna has given. And that is why it is said, what is that? Na bhaved grahyam indriyaihi. Shri Krishna namadi na bhaved grahyam indriyaihi. It is not possible to grasp Krishna with our material senses. But if we engage the same senses in serving Krishna, beginning with the tongue, Jihvado, beginning with the tongue, Swayameva Spuratyadaha, then Krishna will reveal himself. So we engage the tongue in chanting Hare Krishna and our ear in hearing. Then what happens? Then Krishna will manifest himself within our heart through the transcendental sound which is descending from the material world. And by that, Krishna will purify us and take us back to Godhead. So, everything begins by hearing. Our material life also begins by hearing with sound. Like we are seeing in today's verse, the beginning is sound. Our spiritual life also begins with sound. But there is a gulf of difference between the two sounds. Our material life begins by hearing the sound vibrated by materialists. And our spiritual life begins by hearing the sound vibrated by a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada. So that is the way Krishna has designed this material world. That Shabdad Anavrittihi. Shabda is the most subtle material element, and with that you will be able to transcend the gross material world and you will go to the spiritual world. So that's the way the Lord has designed it, because ultimately Krishna's purpose in creating this material world is not to forever condemn us to be to forever rot in the material world. That's not Krishna's idea. Krishna wants us to get out of this material world and go back to him. So he has given us all these senses and the sense objects by which we can try to fulfill our material desires. At the same time, he has given that opportunity. If that one sense of ear, if you engage in hearing about Krishna, then Krishna will take you out. Just like Arjuna also, in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, he was steeped in ignorance. But simply by hearing Krishna, he came to the point, he said, that Vigato Moho Mama, that Mohoyam Vigato Mama, my illusion is now dispelled, simply by hearing. So that's the way that Krishna will liberate us from the material world, because we are in the material world, we are on a very gross platform. We can see gross things, we can feel gross things, we cannot see or hear or touch or feel or perceive a very fine element called the spirit soul. Can we see the Atma? Can we touch the Atma? Can we feel the Atma? We cannot. We can hear only gross things. So, out of all the gross sense objects, the subtlest one is sound. So, Krishna has used that to understand about the most subtle thing, which is Krishna. The soul and the super soul, Atma and Paramatma, are very, very subtle. That is why we cannot grasp the soul or the super soul by our own endeavor. Only ways we have to hear and then we have to understand. All right? Yes, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, like if someone is deaf, he is not. Someone is deaf, he is not able to hear anything. So how
somebody is deaf?
Yeah.
Okay, he cannot hear anything.
How does the sound affect him? Like either entangle or liberate, or for him that doesn't exist at all. Like this element doesn't affect at all.
So what happens is, in the case of, what is your question? If a person is deaf, how will the transcendental sound vibration reach him? Is that your question?
Either transcendental sound or metal sound. How does it affect? Like whether it liberate or entangle? How does it affect?
So sound, when we speak of sound also, there are different forms of sound. One is what we hear through the ear. When you read something, that is also hearing. You are reading something. What is that reading? That is somebody's thoughts, when you have a thought in the mind, that is also a form of sound vibration. Now that form of sound which is there in your mind, some idea comes into your mind and you speak it, then that sound which is in your mind comes out in the form of the gross sound that you and I are able to hear. And now when somebody speaks that, and then somebody notes down, he makes a note of what the teacher has said in the class. So what he has said, he has captured the sound vibration of the teacher in the book. So when we read a book also, it is capturing the sound vibration which manifested in the mind of someone. Understood? So if a person is deaf, if he reads Prabhupada's books, he is actually experiencing transcendental sound. He is hearing Prabhupada, no doubt. So, for a person who is deaf in the material world, that sign language, then by reading something which is written, the person can comprehend. He can hear the material sound through that mode also. Ultimately, these are all different forms of sound only. So that's how we have to understand. So even if a person is deaf, simply by reading also, he can hear transcendental sound and he will also be benefited. All right? So we'll stop here. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari.